All right, CNT120, Chapter 6 Lab. The first part, we looked at the configuration of our switch and router. We then added our access point into the network, into the appropriate port, port 21 on our switch. That's the one configured VLAN for wireless users. We then actually did the basic configuration on the access point. So we now have that capability for our network. We're now going to get our devices connected. So we have a laptop, a tablet, and a smartphone. They're kind of quirky, but you know, we're going to at least get them connected to our network and make sure they're functioning. So I'm going to open up the laptop. And right now we have a wired NIC in here. So I'm going to replace that with a wireless NIC. I'm going to shut the laptop off. I'll pull the wired NIC out. I'm just going to drag it over here and let it go. And then I need to add a wireless NIC. And the wireless one is up here. When I click on that, it shows down here like a little antenna, if you will. So I will drag that NIC into the laptop, let it go, and turn the laptop back on. So I will let that boot. Once that boots, I'm going to connect into the desktop to the PC wireless app, and then I'm going to try to get the settings in there to connect to my wireless network. So I'll go here to the desktop and go to the PC wireless. And this is like a little Linksys utility. We're going to go in here to the Connect tab and try to plug in the Wi-Fi users SSID. I'm going to try to look for it first. I'll give it a second, see if it shows up, and it does. So I will highlight that and do Connect. When I do, I'll make sure my security is set to what I put on the access point, which is WPA2 personal. And I'm going to use my pre-shared key here of password 1. Okay, nice and secure, I know. But it'll match what's on the access point. That has to match what's on the access point. I will do Connect. I will give it a second. And see if we're connected. It's saying the adapter is active. I'll go back to the link info and I should see it connected. If for any reason it doesn't, every now and then this X quirky, just run through that process again. Go back to connect, highlight that, put the password in, etc., and then go back. You might need to run through it twice to catch it because it can be quirky. Syntax does matter, especially on SSID name and password. Well, I'm going to close that out. I'll even close this out, and what I should see is that connected wirelessly. Yay! Let's do the same kind of concept on the tablet and the smartphone. So on the tablet, I'll highlight that. I'm going to go to, on this one, I think we use the config tab. Yeah, because on the config tab, I can make sure I'm using wireless, not cell or Bluetooth, wireless, and I can plug in the settings here. Here is the SSID. I need to plug in the Wi-Fi users. I need to make sure I use the same syntax I did on the access point. The uppercase, lowercase does matter, so make sure that is correct. WPA2 pre-shared key, password 1. Again, syntax matters. I will pause a second, make sure that looks good, make sure that looks good. DHCP automatic, good. I'm going to close this. I'm going to look for a connection there. Nice. If it does not, I repeat those steps to make sure, okay? I'm going to give it a second for it to hopefully pick up an IP address from my network. I'll let it work for a minute. I'm going to do the same thing now on the smartphone, same process, if you will, on the smartphone. Config, wireless, not the other ones, Wi-Fi users, make sure your syntax is right, WPA2 pre-shared key, password 1, okay? Make sure DHCP, all that good stuff. I'll give it a second to try to connect as well. There we go. Okay, so they are now connected. We might need to tweak the IP and make sure it's getting an IP. That's fine. We'll do that next step here. So now I'm going to go back. Now that they should be connected, we're going to go verify that we do have connection, and we have a connection the whole way over to the ISP. So on the laptop, I'll go into the laptop, open a command prompt, look at the IP and ping kind of thing. Okay, so I'm going to go in here, and just because I know this can be a little quirky, I'm actually going to go one more step. I'll go to the IP config here and make sure it's set for DHCP, and I'm picking up a 192. If for any reason I'm not, just click static, then dynamic, and let it try to pick up an IP. That's a little troubleshooting tip to help you make sure this is working. I'll go back to the desktop here, and I'm going to open my command prompt like it now tells me to. I'll open a command prompt, IP config, and I should be getting that 192.168 under the wireless connection. I don't care about the other ones, under the wireless connection. I'm going to try to ping my www.cnt.org, and I got it, and then I'll even try to open that. Okay, so I'll open our browse to the www.cnt.org. And I have connection, yay. So we now have this guy connected to the wireless network. Wireless network, as we did before, is connected in here and over. So we now have a full wireless connection like I would in a business environment. Connected and configured like I would be for business. I might save my config up here as I'm going here so I don't lose any progress. All right, before I'm done with the laptop, let's gather proof that it's functioning. So I'm going to open a text file here. So I'll open up a new notepad file. That'll be the piece I'm going to submit. I'll do here CNT120 Chapter 6 Lab, and I'm going to put in here the laptop config or something like that. So I know this is all stuff for the laptop. I'll save this. I'm going to do this to my Chapter 6 Lab here. 120 Chapter 6 Lab or something like this. That way I have, and .txt. That way D2L understands. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to do ipconfig trace, and I want to save those. I want to save both the ipconfig and the trace from my laptop. So laptop over here, command prompt, I'll do ipconfig, and I'm seeing the 192.168, and I'm going to do a trace route to www.cnt.org, and that should show me hitting the router, hitting the ISP, and then over to that web server. So I really am concerned with just this part here, so I will highlight that. I will do a copy, and I will paste that in here for my laptop config, showing that we have an IP from the network, and I'm getting the whole way over to the ISP side. I'll save my text file so I don't lose my progress. All right, I'm going to repeat that for the tablet. Again, I'm going to click on the tablet, and again, I'm going to go real quick to let's go here to the desktop, ipconfig. This makes sure it's showing a 192.168. If it's not, click static, click dynamic, make sure it's coming in. Now I can go to my command prompt, make sure I'm getting the IP address, which again, I'm focusing on this one right here, the wireless tab. Okay, that's what I'm concerned with. And then I'm going to make sure I can trace route over to, in this case, we're trace routing to, same thing, www.cnt.org, and we have full connection there. And I think I'll save this while I'm here. I'm going to copy all that. I'll open up my notepad, and I'll put a note here that this is my tablet config. Paste it in, and I'm actually going to delete this Bluetooth part. I don't need it. I'm going to delete the cell. I don't need it. But I will keep my wireless here. That way I just have the pieces I need. Okay, I'll save that. Before I'm done here, I will go to my browser and make sure I can browse over to the ISP, www.cnt.org, and we have connection there. Yay! Okay, and we're going to do one last with our smartphone that's here. Click on the smartphone. Again, I'm going to go to desktop ipconfig and make sure it is picking one up. If not, do static and dynamic and make sure it picks it up. We'll go out here to command prompt. We'll do ipconfig. And again, I'm looking for the wireless piece. And I'm looking for that 192.168. Looks good. And then I'm also going to do a trace route on this guy to www.cnt.org. And I should have connectivity there. And again, while I'm there, I'm just going to copy this while I'm here. Right click copy, go to my notepad, and I'll say this is my smartphone config. Paste that in, and I think I'll delete the Bluetooth that's here as well as the cellular that's there. I don't need those. I just need the wireless and in my trace. So I'll save that. Before I'm done, I will open the browser here and make sure I can get over to that web server at the ISP. There we go, and we can get that connection there as well. All right. So I do have those three. I have, if I scroll back through my text file, I have the laptop IP config and trace, so the 128.11. I have the tablet IP config, this 128.13, and its trace. And then the smartphone, I have its IP config 128.12 and then trace. Again, if your IP addresses are a little bit different, that is okay, because the router's handing them out dynamically. It's not a huge deal if yours is 120, 128.12, 128.13, 128.14, 128.15. Any one of those are fine. It doesn't matter if they're mixed around a little bit. You know, it really mattered what order you connected them in. But I'm going to save all that. That is the file I'll submit to D2L. So there was a nice quick add wireless to an existing network. In this case, adding an access point and configuring some nodes into our network for connection. Do not forget also this week, make sure you get the last piece of your design lab finished up and submitted as well. Your network design lab finished up and submitted as well. The network design portion of the content page has help on how to do any of those pieces that you need to finish up.